Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of World of Tanks with Techno. So today guys, I've got a video of me on my KV-4. I just bought this after trudging through the KV-3 line up to this point. The KV-3 was a little underwhelming actually, so if you are about to get there or if you're already there and it doesn't feel that great, I feel ya. Now the KV-4 actually has been a breath of fresh air. Even stock like this, well I say stock, I have the 122mm that carried over from the KV-3, so I guess it's not technically stock, but it's definitely not something that you want to bring into a Tier 8, Tier 9, or Tier 10 game, which is what this thing can go up against. You do only have a meager 175 pin, which does well when you're in a Tier 8 game like this, but if you get anything higher, you're really going to struggle to pin enemy tanks, even shooting weak spots. Now the KV-4 is a fantastic defensive tank. It is probably one of the best, if not the best, side-scraping tank in the game. You have 180 front hull armor and 150 side armor. So if you think of that in a comparison to the Tiger II, who is also a fairly decent side-scraping tank, the Tiger II has 150 in the front and 180 on the side. So you basically have the armor of a Tiger II on the side and then plus a little on the front. So it actually is very, very good in a side-scraping type maneuver. Now the turret itself is also very well armored. I believe it's somewhere around 150 on the front, so that's also pretty darn good. And as you can see, it is angled, so if you can, like, again, get into a side-scraping maneuver, this thing is a beast. Now the top gun is really where the KV-4 shines. The top gun is a 107mm, which seems sort of like a downgrade. You do lose some damage, going from a potential average damage of 390 with the 122mm to a potential average damage of 320. However, you go from 175 pin to 227 pin. So the gain in pin far outweighs the reduction in damage. Alright, we are on El Haloof, and this is an encounter battle. We are attempting to secure the flag at D4. As I move along the western flank here, I notice that the far west corner is looking very worrisome. We only have an E8, which is definitely not something you want on a corner. So I'm going to go ahead and come up and see if I can aid in the defense of this corner. I bounce around from the KV-3, however, and I am not yet in side-scraping type of position, so I want to go ahead and I'm just going to put some rounds into the lower level enemies here who I know can't penetrate the front even when I'm not side-scraping, and then I'm going to go into the side-scraping position. Alright, now we have a KV-3, a Tiger II, an AMX 5100, a Ferdinand, a T-25 AT, and a T-29, all at this corner, and me. So look at that line of enemy tanks. Alright, luckily these guys don't seem to realize that if they all pushed around the corner at the same time, they would simply overwhelm and kill me, which is good for me. Now the Tiger II does manage to put one through the roof of my my turret hull there, sorry, turret armor there, but it was relatively low damage. I don't know if he used HE or what he was doing. He doesn't seem to be doing full damage. Alright, so we've removed the 5100 from the game. That is the key in situations like this. Yes, you can side-scrape. Yes, you can get quite a bit of bounces like we are having here, and there's a really cool looking one there. But the problem is if one of these guys realizes that if they just push around the corner they would kill you, then you kind of have a lemming train effect and they all push around and then you lose the side. So you do want to start prioritizing your shots. Yeah, you may have shots on all the enemies, but you want to start actually removing guns from the battlefield, kind of like they're doing with my side here. Jesus. Luckily, the prototype there did come up here because any support I did have was pretty terrible. Alright, so we put it around into the KV-3, and now me and the Tiger II here are going to kind of have a little dance. I'm going to try to put one into the cupola. It misses. Alright, so we're going to see if we can try to get rid of this KV-3. Oh, we have a shot at the Ferdinand. The reason I took the shot at the Ferdinand there, guys, I know he's got strong armor on the front, roughly 200mm, but he was at an angle that I was hoping would negate that. It didn't quite happen that way, though. Alright, now I have already done 27, well now 3,200 damage. I do go ahead and load some premium rounds at this point because I want to really secure this flank after all the work we've done so far. The KV-3 takes advantage of the Tiger II tracking me there and puts a round through the commander's cupola. And again, yeah, I know, it's a little lame using premium rounds, especially fighting tanks of your same tier and lower, but, you know, desperate times and all that. So I go ahead and put a pretty well-aimed round into the commander's hatch of the KV-3, exposed above the hull of the 5100. And now we've got just the Tiger II, T-29, and Ferdinand left on the corner. Now the Tiger II, as you can imagine, is a little bit not feeling like poking around the corner anymore, surprisingly. But we do need to get rid of him. So he does expose his turret again. So I get to put another premium round through the front of that. Remember, it is only 150, I believe, on the front of a Tiger II's turret, and we have 212, and at point-blank range like this, that's not going to be a problem. Alright, so we've got the Ferdinand down to 1 hit, we got the Tiger II down to 1 hit. I'm going to pop out and see if I can... Yeah, don't do that, right? I don't care what kind of premium rounds you have. They better be flipping amazing if you're going to be trying to put a round through the front plate of a Tiger II at an angle. So that is probably one advantage too of this. The gun on this KV-4 is, even with premium loaded, it's only 212 millimeters of pin, which is lower than the non-premium ammo of the upgraded 107 gun you'll get later. So just a very all-underwhelming gun. However, when you're brawling on a corner, it's less a big deal. Alright, so we went ahead and taken this corner, and let's be honest, we pretty much carried that. We've got 4,200 damage already, and bounced quite a few rounds. Alright, if we take a moment here to kind of review the map, it looks like the, of course in the west here, we've done well, we've secured this side. The enemy is left with 4 tanks, and luckily all at tier 6, which shouldn't present much of a problem, but, so they do have 1 artillery who could be the only real threat at this point. If he secures a hit on me, it could be very bad for me. So I do want to be a little bit careful. Now the other 2 tanks on my team are going to go ahead and head south to try to go into the enemy's base and look for the artillery. And I decide what I need to do is watch this east flank. As you can see on the minimap, the AMX 1375 and a T-25-2 have gone into our base and just killed our remaining T-25-2 and artillery. So what I want to do here is be a little bit careful. Now, the trick here is I am on a very, very well-armored tank. However, KV-4s have some of the lowest damage per minute of any tier 8 tank. And so what you don't want to do is you don't want to basically get surrounded, because by the time you're able to kill them, they're going to have killed you with their higher DPM. So I don't want to actually move down eastward into these rocks, these mounds down here, because I'm worried about them coming around and flanking me. So what I do is I decide to take up a position here on the hill. And what this is going to allow me to do is see if anybody is coming along this approach, and then also let me be far enough away that my armor and armor angling will definitely bounce any shots fired at me from those lower tier tanks. But wait, they're capping. So what I decided to do here, guys, is go ahead and push. The prototype has spotted enemies in the cap circle. And there's a nice juicy Jagdpanzer 4 on 300 health, which we can, yeah, we can definitely do that with 1 shot. But wait, there's more. A 1375 is also on 1-hit status. We dodge a round from the artillery there. And if he'll just hold still, there we go. Alright, so we've now removed 2 more enemy tanks. We're up to 48-17 damage. We let our tracks eat around from the T-25-2 there, and we hang around to get a shot in and move just in time to dodge, yeah, that. The whole time I was sitting there trying to take that shot at that T-25, my mind was screaming at me, "Move, you idiot, move, the artillery." Sometimes you can tone that out and it gets you killed. Luckily this time the shot went off fast enough and I was able to start moving fast enough that artillery did not have enough time to actually place that shot where he wanted it to land. Now the T-25 has kind of ran off behind this hill here. Now what a lot of people will do, especially newer players, is they'll chase the enemy and then they'll get flanked as they come around the back side of the mound. Don't forget, guys, that if you just simply back away from the mound, you now have the ability to see both sides of it at the same time, so it puts you in a much better position, especially on a well-armored tank like this. You can keep your front armor facing the mound, you can look at both sides. If they peek one side or the other side, you can just swivel over and put a round into them. Now, at this point, the T-25 seems to have just run away. So what I'm going to do is, instead of playing, you know, chasey, catchy up there on the hill, I'm going to go ahead and reverse down the hill into the cap circle. I'm hoping at this point, basically, if he is hiding behind that mound, he's going to come out and try to get me, try to damage me to try to prevent the cap. Oh, by the way, the artillery on the enemy team just killed our Tiger II. Great job. So now it's 2v2 again. I was really hoping the Tiger II would kill their artillery so I could just worry about this little bitty 25-2. Alright, so we're going to try to get ourselves in a little bit of an artillery safe location with this hill here. And I'm still watching the ridge line for that 25-2. I do not know where he has gone at this point. Oh shit, he's behind me. Alright, now we're going to try to swivel around. And, yep, KV-4. Hell yes. So the armor of the KV-4 pulls through again. The T-25-2 has the same gun as a Hellcat. So his penetration values are relatively low. I go ahead and put a round into him, and the 28 prototype finishes him off. Artie just misses a shot behind me, and I go ahead and pull back behind here for cover. At this point, the game is basically over, and we have secured the victory. I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to the end here, and then we'll take a look at the statistics. I kept kind of thinking that the artillery may try to, you know, jump up behind me and suicide dirt me in the butt, but he seemed pretty content with just hiding in a bush on the far side of the map, or at least if he was trying to get here, he was a little slow. Alright guys, so check out them results. We got high caliber, meaning we did at least 1,000 damage, yeah, at least, and 20% of the total HP of the enemy vehicle. We also secured a steel wall, not surprisingly, which is meaning we rebounded, or sorry, at least took 11 hits with a potential damage of 1,000 damage. That is true and then some. This is with premium. We got 92,000 credits and an XP of 6852. This is not tripled for the day. This is actually tripled for an event. That would have been nice to have received with the triple for the daily as well. And we did secure Ace Tanker on a stock KV-4. We did 5539 damage, 4 kills with a base XP of 1523. We fired 18 rounds, 17 of those hit, and 15 of those pinned for a, as I said, 5539 damage. We received 17 total hits. 7 of those went through, although probably at least half of those were in the tracks, and 10 bounced with 2 splashes. That gave us a potential damage of 3510, which was enough to kill us twice. So that was a really, really good example of side scraping. Anyway, guys, we managed to walk away with 73,287 credits, which is a great result for anybody. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will catch you next time.